What's up, guys? Today I'm going to talk about the Battle Tower Midgar Falls B97. And B97 is pretty tough if you don't have the right stuff. And I cleared it with a budget setup. You can see they recommend 362,000 power. My power is only 292. Now, battle power doesn't really tell you everything, but it is a nice guideline to have. And you can see my weapons, the weapons I use. There are not many OB6 weapons here. Okay, so let's look at what we're against here on B97. So for B97, we are against a single boss, Astral Iron Giant. And this boss can be annoying for some accounts because you see here, this boss is resistant to all 6 elements. You see right also in the description, this boss has high elemental resistance and reduces damage of all elemental attacks. So really the only way to damage this boss is to use non-elemental damage. Okay. And other thing notable here is this boss does have a sigil phase, so you're going to need triangle sigils, but you don't need you won't need a sigil break weapon. Just having 3 triangle sigils on your team is good enough. Looking at the immunities, Astral Giant is only really immune to poison. The rest don't really matter. I mean, we don't really inflict these anyways. So this boss is only immune to poison, which is great news. That means you're going to look to, well, debuff him with everything that you've got, except, well, let's look at the boss description. This boss grants itself physical attack up, not at the beginning, but it's later into the fight. So you can't fight him forever, because once he grants this buff to himself, he'll start one-shotting your team. And then other than that, it says this boss uses many physical attacks. He only uses physical attacks, so it's going to be really important to use physical attack down and buff your party with physical defense up. Okay, so those are 2 must-haves: physical attack down and physical defense up. Other than those 2, you would like to have either physical defense down or magic defense down, depending on your DPS. So you can use non-elemental; either one would work, or you could even use both if you want. So you would use, if you're using non-elemental physical damage, then obviously you want physical defense down. If you're using non-elemental magic damage, then you would want to inflict magic defense down on him. And similarly, if you can, you would like to increase physical attack up or magic attack up on your party as well. And then other than that, let's look at the battle effects. So battle effects is enemy has a lot of HP. Okay. Your team has 30% reduced HP. This is actually kind of annoying. So you do want your party to be a little defensive, because otherwise they'll just die in one hit. Summon gauge boost minus 50%. So basically it's saying you don't want to use summons here. But limit and summon ability potency. So summon doesn't matter, because this, you don't want to use summons, but limit breaks do 100% extra damage. So limit breaks are going to be actually pretty good damage in this fight if you use damage limit breaks. So with that said, let's look at my team. I'm running a 3-man team. I mean, they're all 3-man teams. I'm running Cloud as my debuffer with Hard Edge. I'm running Matt as my healer, and Zack is my main DPS. Let's just look at Zack first. This is not possible. You need some kind of DPS. Zack is a good one because of his ceremonial sword. But I mean, you can use anyone with non-elemental damage. There are, I believe every character in the game except Lucia. I believe every character in the game except Lucia has some single target non-elemental damaging weapons. So really you can use there's a lot of options here you can use, but my best option happens to be Zack. And so let's look at Zack. For his costume, I don't really have any costumes, so his base costume is actually good for this fight because his base costume is giving him physical defense, which you do need because this boss only does physical damage, and it's also giving Zack crit potency, which he can crit because I'm using Ceremonial Sword, and Ceremonial Sword has a 10% crit chance. So yeah, his base costume just happens to be decent here. Okay, for the main weapon, like I said, he's using Ceremonial Sword, Z. This is physical non-elemental damage. Mine is OB6. It does 1,220%. It's really high, but it does cost 5 ATB to cast, so that's the main downside. But also Ceremonial Sword for Zack, it does increase his physical attack to high for 30 seconds. So this is a really nice non-elemental weapon, and it's got good auto abilities. In the offhand, I'm using Twinkling Star. I never use the C ability, so I'm not using Twinkling for the C ability. I'm purely using it for the R abilities. So it gives HP, which is needed because your HP is reduced by 30%. So getting 26 points here, or cut in half, 13, is really nice for Zack. And boost physical ability potency is also nice because that's the main R ability you need for non-elemental, to boost non-elemental physical damage. Limit Break, I'm using his Apocalypse. It's really good because it has a low charge speed, only 900, and against a single target it will do double damage, and there's only one boss here, so it's going to do 1760%. That's pretty good damage for just a 900 charge speed. And 900 charge speed is relevant in this fight also because you can use limit breaks to interrupt attacks. And if you interrupt his attacks, you basically delay him. Let me show you again. You delay the Iron Giant's in spirit, right? He's going to grant physical attack up to himself later in the fight. So the longer you can delay the fight, the better, because once he boosts himself up with in spirit, your team is going to die, not immediately, but pretty soon. So before he buffs himself with in spirit, you can tank all his attacks, no problem. But once he has this, you're really on a timer. So having a quick charge limit breaks is nice to stall out the fight. Yeah, but for Zack, it's even better because he also does good damage with it. For materia, they're just stat sticks. Giving P attack, mainly P attack, but also some of them give maybe some physical defense or a little bit of HP. And then of course I am running one triangle sigil because I said there is a triangle sigil phase. And then for sub equipment, you might think I'm a whale here, but actually these are two free weapons. So these were from events that you could get for free, so you never need to pull. For Tifa's Turk's Gloves, it's boost physical attack and boost ability potency, and then also this was also free. I think they were the same event, same R abilities, boost physical attack and boost ability potency. And this one is not free, but so you might not have this. This is an OB7 enemy launcher. This is just pure damage as well, so boosting attack and then a huge amount of boost physical ability potency. So he's got pure damage sub weapons, and the only defensive weapon I have here is Twinkling Star, that's giving him 26 points in HP. So with that, you can see he's got 8,000 HP, but it is going to be decreased in the actual fight by 30%. So I think he has maybe 6,000 HP in the actual fight. He's got 5,000 attack. He's got 125 physical defense. Okay, so those are, and this is basically the minimum because Zack almost died many times with these stats. So if you have lower than these stats, you're probably going to die, and you can see in the fight, which I'll show you later. Yeah. And then if you want to look at his damage, you've got level 7 in, so maxed out his physical attack. It's got 1 point in crit potency from his costume, 2 points in attack, that would be from the enemy launcher, 3 points in ability potency, that would be from these 2 free weapons, and then 6 points of physical ability potency. That's almost max. The max is level 7, so it's from enemy launcher, and his ceremonial sword is giving him a lot here. And also his twinkling star gives him a little bit, 9, cut in half. Okay, so this is my DPS. He's got a good amount of attack, and he's got a good weapon, so yeah. And he's just tanky enough to survive. Yep. Okay. So going with my DPS, he is going to be supplemented by a sub DPS or debuffer. So I'm using Cloud here as like sub DPS debuffing kind of guy. So I'll show you what I'm going for here. So for costumes, I just use also no costume or his base costume, because I only have 2 other costumes, and these costumes, they're Arcanums, but we're not using elements in this fight, so they're pretty useless. The only thing they have is boost physical attack plus 5, but if you look at my Cloud, he has boost physical attack 45 points. So he needs 10 points to get the next level. So 5 isn't enough, so he's running with this costume, and I mean, if you can call this a costume, this is his base outfit. It's the same as Zack, so it's actually, it's also good for this fight. It has boost physical defense, and it has crit potency, and Cloud is using, I am using Buster Sword, and I am using Buster Sword for the C ability. So Buster Sword does 620 non-elemental damage, and it does have a 10% crit chance. So this base outfit actually does help his Buster Sword. But yeah, so Cloud is using Buster Sword here because, well, it just happens to be my second best physical non-elemental damage weapon. So my best one is my main DPS. Zack has my best physical, and then the second best just happens to be Cloud. So here we go. I'm using Cloud, but mainly I'm actually using Cloud mainly for Hard Edge, which also can crit. So that's nice. So his outfit can help Hard Edge, but Hard Edge also does physical non-elemental damage, less, only 370, so I'm not using it for the damage. I'm using it for the physical defense down. Physical defense down, it's mid potency, but it can go to high. So Cloud is here for the physical defense down. You might be wondering, why am I using Hard Edge? I already have Zack's Twinkling Star, and Zack's Twinkling Star also reduces physical defense to mid, but it can't go to high. I'm using Cloud because I want Zack to do as much damage as possible. So if Zack is wasting ATB on using Twinkling Star, then he's not doing his main damage with his ceremonial sword. And then not only that, but Cloud's Hard Edge can reduce physical defense to high, so that's letting Zack do even more damage. Yeah, and Cloud using Buster Sword is, it's some damage, 620, but it's really not important. So I'd rather have Cloud waste his ATB debuffing than waste Zack's ATB debuffing. Okay, and then looking at Cloud's Limit Break, I'm also using his Limit Break 3. Climb Hazard, this does 1,100 damage, but it is doubled if the enemy is debuffed, and the enemy will be debuffed because, well, hard edge, right? As you see, if you use hard edge, the enemy is debuffed, and then you use climb hazard. And then also, like Zack, this has a really low charge speed of 900, so that's going to be really good. He's going to be able to use this a lot and interrupt the boss a lot to stall him out. And for materia, it's the same as Zack, using a triangle sigil, and then stat sticks for physical attack stat sticks, because Cloud is trying to do physical damage. He actually has good physical attack too, 5,286. He actually has more physical attack than Zack, but of course he doesn't have Zack's amazing weapon, and then he doesn't have Zack's physical ability potency. For sub weapons, I'm using Stream Slasher, which has boost physical attack to all allies, so that's going to increase not only Cloud's physical attack, but it's also going to increase Zack's physical attack. And then these two are just physical attack weapons. So I have an OB8 motor drive, which has 56 attack points, so that's really nice to give Cloud some physical attack. You see, I could only get him to level 6. I couldn't even max him, but you know, the only reason I could get him to level 6 was he is using motor drive here with 56, and the second weapon I gave him is Glare Reed. It is an OB5 Glare Reed, which has, you know, respectable attack points, but also has boost limit break potency. You can see limit break potency. It's not a great R ability, but it's okay. So it's going to give limit break damage, increase limit break damage by 15%. And like I showed you, his limit break is pretty strong because it's a low charge speed, and it will do 1,100 times 2 damage. So the Glare Reed will help Cloud do more damage on his limit breaks. Okay, so that is Cloud. He is here for, you know, debuffing, and then he is here for a little bit of DPS with his Buster Sword. And for stats, I mean, you see he had high attack. Our abilities are pretty bad. Like these are all useless basically. So he has attack, but he doesn't have any physical ability potency. So he's going to do way less damage than Zack. But luckily he is tanky with 11,000 HP. You can see Zack only has 8,000. You know, Cloud has 11,000 mainly because Buster Sword has 26 points here in HP. And it is in the main hand, so yeah. And physical defense 119, pretty average. Okay, so that is main DPS. We're using Zack, and he's here. He's just going to be using Ceremonial Sword, and that's about it. I mean, he can sigil break, and he's going to use limit breaks. Cloud is a little more. He's going to use both weapons. He's going to be using hard edge to decrease physical defense, and then he's also going to use Buster Sword for a little bit of DPS. Yeah, he's going to use limit breaks and break sigils. And then last we go to our healer, Matt. Matt is, I believe he is the best healer for if you're against a physical damage boss, because you see by these two weapons here. So Matt has Centipede, which AoE heals, which you will need this fight. You will need an AoE heal, but it also increases physical defense to all allies. So, like I said, this is a physical damage boss, so you're going to want physical defense up. But not only that, Matt is going to use Slick Beetle, which decreases physical attack of the boss, physical attack down on the boss. So, Matt is the perfect healer for physical damage because physical defense up and physical attack down. So, these two are the perfect combo. But not only that, Matt is using Vanquishing. Vanquishing removes physical attack up from the boss, and the boss will buff himself with physical attack up. So, and he buffs himself up with it. It's like +5 or something. So you're not going to have time to clear it with Slick Beetle, because Slick Beetle, it only clears it by 2 to 3 stacks. But Vanquishing can clear all 5 stacks in a single cast. So Vanquishing is very useful here as well. So Matt is the perfect healer for this boss. And then also, Matt is using Triangle Sigil, and these are just stat sticks, heal stat sticks. Yeah. Oh, and his costume doesn't matter. You could use any costume because, yeah, I don't have any costumes for him. So the costume I'm using boosts magic defense, which doesn't matter because this boss does physical damage, and it boosts his attack, which also doesn't matter because Matt is a healer. He's not here to do damage. But it will increase his damage a little bit, when he uses, like Slick Beetle does physical non-elemental damage, and his Limit Break also does physical non-elemental damage. So it helps a little bit, I guess. Very, very little, I would say. It's like less than 1% of the fight is helped by this. For sub equipment, he's also using a boost physical attack to all allies weapon. So this is going to boost Cloud's physical attack. It's also going to boost Zack's physical attack. And then he's using a healing weapon, boost healing, and also buff debuff extension. And then this one is another buff debuff extension, and then some HP for tankiness. So with that, you can look at his stats. He's got good HP, almost 11,000. He's got good healing, more than 3,000. And then he's got really good buff debuff extension, level 5, which makes his buffs and debuffs last 150% extra. So these two will last 150% extra. And other than that, he's got 117 physical defense. It's just average. Yeah. Okay, so that's the party. I'm going to summarize one more time. I've got Zack as my main DPS with Ceremonial Sword. I've got Cloud as my debuffer with Hard Edge, and off DPS with his... Well, I forgot what you call it. What is this? Oh, Buster Sword, right? And Matt is here for healing and surviving with the buffs and debuffs. And then with that said, let's look at the fight.
1.414213。お見舞いしてやれ。覚悟しとけよ。斬撃に踊れ。お見舞いしてやれ。とっておき。お見舞いしてやれ。やってよ。覚悟しとけよ。そりゃ1.618-033。はっ今いしてやれ。天の誇りを見せてやれ。蹴散らしちゃうぞ。当然だ。